Hello there. Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson compared his 2019 Brexit deal he negotiated to a sausage pie. Just like the traditional English pie, you just have to put this one piece in the oven and bang, done. 3 years later, however, the Johnson administration is resentful of one ingredient. The so-called Northern Ireland Protocol endangers the integrity of Great Britain and must be changed. That's the stupid claims by the London officials. The EU sees this as a breach of international law, quite rightly so. In a 2019 election campaign spot, you could see Britain's Prime Minister, sleeves rolled up, lovingly brushing the batter of the traditional English pie with egg yolk. Johnson grins broadly for the camera and says, "This pie is symbolic of our oven-ready Brexit deal." And he has an apron with the slogan, "Get Brexit Done." He then slides the prepared pie into a large oven behind him. Yeah, oven-ready deal. 3 years later, it's all about the sausage again. On June 13th, the British government independently decided to break down the oven-ready Brexit deal, the EU exit agreement between Great Britain and the EU, and put it back into its components. The Johnson government no longer likes this one ingredient, the so-called Northern Ireland Protocol. As I said, that's a contractual clause in the Brexit agreement that regulates the customs border and the movement of goods between Ireland and the rest of the Emerald Isle, which is still part of the United Kingdom. Johnson's decision to independently revise the Northern Ireland Protocol provokes a wave of outrage. There is no legal or political justification for a unilateral change to an international agreement, said EU Commission Vice President Maroš Šefčovič, accusing the British government of breaching the treaty. London gave the EU no choice, said Šefčovič, and on June 15th the EU launched 3 infringement procedures against Britain. Since then, a trade war has threatened, and there's more proceedings now anyway. Criticism does not come from just one side of the English Channel. In the British House of Commons, even members of the Conservative Party are reminding their government of the current rules of law. On the Irish island, on the other hand, there are fears about the existence of the so-called Good Friday Agreement, which has ensured political and social peace in Northern Ireland since 1998. With Brexit, Great Britain and Northern Ireland left the European single market on January 1st in 2021. The rest of the Irish island remained in the EU. And this leaves the question open as to where the border between the EU and Great Britain should run. One possibility at that time would have been the so-called hard border, with custom checks between Ireland and the rest of its island. From the perspective of Catholic nationalists, however, a hard border would undermine the Good Friday Agreement. New violent conflicts about the reunification of Ireland would thus again be in the air. And in order to prevent this risk, London and Brussels have spoken out against a hard border since the start of the Brexit negotiations. And the second option is the Irish Sea. In the Northern Ireland Protocol, both parties finally agreed on a border between the island of Ireland and Great Britain. Northern Ireland thus continues to follow the rules of the European single market and the customs union, and is subject to the jurisdiction of the EU courts in the event of a conflict. Goods coming from Great Britain to Northern Ireland are therefore subject to EU tariffs, because these goods can cross the open border into Ireland and thus into the EU. A homemade sausage pie like that of Boris Johnson would have to be checked at the sea border of the Irish Sea. After Great Britain left, transitional periods were provided for the introduction of such checks. The Johnson administration has repeatedly, single-handedly extended these deadlines for certain products. The start of the checks has been postponed indefinitely. On May 5th, the Republican Sinn Féin made history. For the first time, the party, once seen as the political arm of the terrorist organization IRA, became the strongest force. Sinn Féin promotes reunification with the rest of Ireland, and this gives Northern Ireland, through the protocol, and the companies access to both the European and the British markets. However, there has been a stalemate in Belfast since the election victory. Northern Ireland's special status, codified by the Good Friday Agreement, stipulates that a government must be composed of unionists as well as nationalists. In concrete terms, this means that the unionists represented by the Democratic Unionist Party, the DUP, will have to take part in forming a government after Sinn Féin's election victory. The DUP refuses to do so, blocking the executive branch. The committee work in the Northern Irish Parliament also cannot take place without the participation of the DUP. What the DUP is asking for is a modification of the Northern Ireland Protocol, and in reality they just want to scrap it. The party describes the protocol as an existential threat to Northern Ireland's future place within the UK and criticized the application of EU law in Northern Ireland without voting rights or a Northern Ireland representation in Brussels. Without voting rights is bull, by the way. The DUP is giving the government in London an ultimatum. Either the Northern Ireland Protocol will be modified or the blockade will continue. After 6 months of failing to form a government, the Northern Ireland Constitution calls for new elections. British Foreign Secretary and possibly soon-to-be Prime Minister Liz Truss took up the arguments of the DUP. That shows how stupid she is. On June 13, she announced in a public statement that the agreed Northern Ireland Protocol creates a situation in which the people of Northern Ireland are treated differently from the rest of England. Yes, they are. They have more advantages. To ensure justice and the territorial integrity of Britain, Truss said. Specifically, the British government is proposing so-called green lanes for the movement of goods between Great Britain and Northern Ireland as an alternative to the existing protocol. According to London, only products that are not intended for Northern Ireland would have to be checked and comply with the EU goods directives. This prevents difficulties in trading individual products. For example, current EU law prohibits the transport of chilled processed meat such as sausages or minced meat into the EU. That's a death sentence for importing sausage pies from England to Northern Ireland. Back in November 2020, Boris Johnson made it clear that nothing could stop the great English sausage heading to Belfast. I lived there. It's not that great, by the way. However, there's no guarantee that these Northern Ireland-only products will remain in Northern Ireland. In addition to the problem of possible smuggling routes, Brussels believes that London's proposal contradicts the principle of legal unity in the EU. Legal unity is considered a fundamental pillar of the community and the prerequisite for a uniform internal market and the primacy of EU law. Nevertheless, the EU Commission is open to further negotiations on the implementation on the Northern Ireland Protocol. However, they rejected complete renegotiations and they made a lot of suggestions within that protocol already. The oven-ready pie that Boris Johnson takes out of the steaming oven a few seconds later in his election campaign video is golden yellow in the middle and the crust is crispy on the outside. You can see how the cheese slowly bubbles. However, most of those involved do not seem to like it. And after Johnson's announcement of his resignation, former Chancellor of the Exchequer Rishi Sunak and Foreign Secretary Liz Truss are now wrestling for control of Downing Street number 10. Truss, who herself withdrew from the agreement during her term in office, has already announced that she will continue on that course, despite Europe's uncompromising nature, as this woman puts it. Her party rival Sunak, on the other hand, is in favor of a dialogue with Brussels. He voted against Truss' bill amending the Northern Ireland Convention. However, he acknowledged the concerns of the Irish DUP. So it remains to be seen whether the baked ingredients of the Northern Ireland Protocol can be separated into, whatever, sausage, dough and egg yolk. But that won't happen. It's impossible. There is no better solution than this one. I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.